Hey everybody, it's Adam Farkas. Welcome back to another ODwire TV episode. Now today we're talking all about PRECISION1. And as you can remember, 2019 I think, PRECISION1 was launched to the market. We all started to use the lens and we learned a lot about its smart surface technology. And people started to use it with a lot of their patients where they could. Today we have a guest with us who's been using the lens for a long time. And he's here to tell us all clinically sort of how it's worked for him. So let me introduce our guest today. Dr. Aaron Luekenga is with Heritage Valley Eye Care in Santa Paula, California. And just a reminder that Dr. Luekenga has been compensated by Alcon to be here today. And so Aaron, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks, Adam.
So I guess the big question is, we spoke about the sphere and how people are kind of familiar with it, right? But now the toric lens is here, PRECISION1 for astigmatism. So tell us all, you've been using it for a while. What's it like?
Well, as you mentioned with PRECISION1, it was such a great material. It was such a great lens. It fits so well for so many patients. It solved so many problems that we had with certain patients. It made an easy launch for patients that we wanted to fit into a one-day lens, but just by giving them a chance to try it, they would elect to take it the vast majority of the time. And so having the sphere around was great, but like you mentioned, getting a toric was really what we were after. In my particular community, a large percentage of my patients, roughly half of my patients, are astigmatic. And so we had a big demand for that. And we anticipated that, with the material of the PRECISION1 and all of its great attributes, that they would largely translate into a good experience with the PRECISION1 for astigmatism. And that's absolutely been the case.
Right. And so I know, you were probably one of the first ones also who got the sphere, right, way back when. And I wonder, how has your experience with the sphere been? And did it help you inform your usage of the toric lens?
Yeah, so this is actually kind of hard to believe for a lot of people. It is our number one contact lens that we sell. It's the second largest lens that we have is an astigmatism lens. So once again, we knew we had such huge success with the sphere. It was such an easy lens to fit, and it was so well adopted by patients. We completely expected that was going to be the case with the astigmatic patients as well. As you know, with the sphere, you had great vision. You had great comfort and handling. And so we've appreciated that with the sphere tremendously. My staff really like it. The success that they have and that they see out at the front, from training patients to then hearing the patients come back excited to order their lenses after their trial period, has caused them to just organically talk to other patients about it. When someone comes in and says they want to try contact lenses, or they speak about challenges they're having with their reusable contact lenses, my staff automatically and organically start talking about the PRECISION1. And so now they've got the toric, and it's created a lot of enthusiasm in the office.
And I think I'm pretty typical of a lot of contact lens wearers, where I have a small bit of astigmatism, but in the past I never really actually corrected it, just because I found the spherical lenses were much easier to use and work with. Do you sort of find that in your practice now, that you were actually trying to use spherical lenses on low sill patients, but now that you have this option, are you starting to move people over?
Oh, absolutely. And a great example is a patient that I just had last week, where she'd come in, and traditionally she was a low sill patient, had a half a diopter sill in one eye and a quarter in the other, and we fit her in PRECISION1. And this year she came back and both eyes had increased a quarter diopter in sill, so she's a half a diopter in the one eye and now 3/4 diopter in the more affected eye. So I talked to her about that and said, well, we need to think about moving you into an astigmatism lens. And in the past, I probably wouldn't have even thought about that. I would have just stuck with another lens, spherical lens, just try to mask it and have the patient happy. She was 20/20 minus a couple letters with that lens, and she was very pleased. So we didn't need to move her into a toric lens by traditional standards, but we had it, we grabbed it, put it on her eye. I wanted to see how it would work, and it slides right into position. And immediately she's seeing great. And in fact, her vision in the astigmatic corrected lens is better than the one without. And she was very pleased with that. The one thing I was concerned about was going to be the comfort, because as you know, when you have a patient with a sphere lens on one eye and a toric on the other, they often feel the difference. So I asked her, after it had several minutes to settle in, I wanted to see what it'd be like after a little bit of time, because initially she felt that it was great. So that was a huge testimonial to me of the success that this was going to have in our practice. And we fit every patient that's within these parameters into this lens.
Comfort is a huge issue for contact lens wearers. Some people drop out, right, because they're having comfort problems. I think one of the other causes of dropout a lot of the times is visual issues. So can you speak to that as well with the PRECISION1 for people who haven't tried it yet, what they might, what it's similar to, what they might compare it to, and what it's like for the patients in terms of the visual outcomes?
Well, so you're going to get a few benefits to the vision with this contact lens. First, as I mentioned, it's going to align quickly. And that's a big wow factor right out of the gate, that they put it in, it drops into position, and they're starting to see really well. Another thing that we really know with the smart surface technology is how moist the surface of the lens is with that high water content on the surface of the lens. And it really promotes a stable tear film. We have lots of experience with the other lenses. Obviously, Daly's Total One is that's the granddaddy of them all as far as the surface moisture goes. And the PRECISION1 is not too different from that. It's 51% water content at the core, but over 80% at the surface.
Can I have a slide up on the screen that people might want to take a look at if they're familiar with Daly's Total One and water gradient technology? Compare and contrast for a second smart surface, which is a little bit different, right?
Right. So in order to create the smart surface, they had to completely invent a whole lot of new technologies to make this thing work. With Daly's Total One, it's a bit of a process to create this lens, where you have this six or 7 micron layer thick moisture layer, and obviously it works really well. We've all had a lot of experience, but Alcon wanted to create a product that we could make a little bit more mainstream, that would be more of that workhorse, or that they would fill the center of the bell curve for your patients. And so they had to create a new silicon hydrogel polymer for the base of the lens, and then they had to create a process to make this smart surface. And what they've done is they developed a manufacturing process that embeds these little particles, these microfilaments, into the surface of the lens that are very, very hydrophilic. And they're permanently embedded into the lens. They don't come loose, they don't wear out, they don't leach out slowly during the course of the day, but it's a permanent part of the lens. But you're going from a silicon hydrogel core, which may be a bit hydrophobic, to this very thin hydrophilic surface. And that's what the patient feels. They just feel that moisture on the top. And they've been able to do it in an economic way so that we can bring this lens to the majority of our patients.
Right. And the handling the lens is pretty easy for folks who maybe have not even used the lens before?
Well, with the spherical lens, we've had incredible luck with the handling.
Right. And I mentioned before, I'll put it up on the screen for people to see again. We were talking a little bit about the design and of the toric lens specifically, and the way it sort of settles itself really quickly. So maybe you could speak a little bit to that as well. We actually see the design up on the screen right now.
Correct. Yeah. So this is this 8 o'clock, 4 o'clock stabilization is got a couple things. You have a little bit of ballast towards the bottom of the lens, but the stabilization points are located in between the eyelids. So it's like the best of both worlds between prism ballast and blink stabilization. And it just falls into place immediately. It's also nice. The mark is great. It's molded into the lens, so it doesn't create any comfort issues, but it's easy to see. And it's right there at 6 o'clock. So there's no confusion about this one. And I really appreciate this, because at the end of the day, I don't want to have to memorize another mark pattern. This one hits at 6 o'clock. It's there where you expect to find it, and you just move on.
And now, of course, we have access to the PRECISION1 for astigmatism, right? We're actually able to fit the astigmatic patient into this contact lens. So speak to us for a few seconds about the patients that you fit in the lens. So when you see people come in, who is like the primary candidate that you give a shot on this lens? Is it new patients? Is it old patients? What kind of folks are you fitting in the lens?
Good question. So understanding the performance of the PRECISION1 for sphere, we had high expectations for the astigmatism lens as well. And because we had such great success with the sphere, our barriers or concerns with fitting your toric patients are completely eliminated. And I wouldn't pigeonhole one particular class of people as this is the ideal candidate. Anybody that has any astigmatism, and their astigmatism falls within the parameters of the PRECISION1, I would fit them in it without even thinking twice. Every new patient that walks into our office for contacts is fit in a single-use lens, and the PRECISION1 is our go-to lens for that, because we know it's going to feel great, it's going to see great, and they're going to have a good experience with it. So every new patient that is here for contact lenses, we fit with PRECISION1 as long as they're within the parameters. And any existing patient that also falls within those parameters are going to get a try at this. It's really nice to talk about new technology with patients. We like the advantage of being a practice that has the latest technology, and we talk about it. We get a lot of referrals because of it. And we let patients with their, even if they're satisfied with their existing lens, we tell them, hey, we got this new lens. I want you to at least give it a try. Oh, I'm happy with my lens. They'll say, as you all know, but we say, yeah, we know, but just take them. I want you to try it out, just see what you think. And we'll put it on their eye and let them wear it out. And before they even get to the front desk, they're telling the front desk staff that they want to switch over to the lens.
Wow. So I guess that's a top tip, right? Even if you have patients who say that they're happy, you should really give them a trial in these new lenses, right? Because the technology has changed so much from the older designs that you might want to give them a shot.
Oh, absolutely. And everybody loves to get free lenses, so no one ever says no. The only resistance I ever get is from people that are really convinced that reusable lenses are the way to go, probably because of budget concerns. They don't factor in the cost of solutions and everything. So what I tell them is say, I just want you to take them and have them, because sometime this year you're going to want to go out of town and you don't want to haul your solutions with you. So let's just put it on your eye, see how it feels, see how it fits, make sure it's good for you, and then just take these and use them when you want to. And those are the patients that really come back and very excited about it.
So, but do you ever get any patients like me who've been wearing lenses for 40 years and are just stubborn mules and are wearing like vile lenses and they're like, darn it, I don't even want to try?
A good story is regarding my own wife. And this might take a few minutes because it's a long one. But for years, my wife was fixated or stuck on her traditional toric contact lens. She wore a traditional hydrogel material, quarterly replacement, the kind that came in a glass vial, and she loved it. Absolutely loved it. Well, they stopped making this a couple of years ago, and it's been a huge challenge ever since, because of course I wanted to fit her in silicone hydrogel lenses all along, and I tried her through all of them, and she didn't like any of them and was very dissatisfied. And so I thought, okay, we'll get her into daily lenses. When the PRECISION1 came out, we put her into that, and it was immediate. She loved it. It was fantastic.
Maybe you could speak to us a little bit about this technology and what smart surface technology is all about.
Right. So with silicone lenses, it's kind of a interesting thing. We know that they are much more oxygen permeable, so we understand the health benefits of it. But what do they use a lot of silicone for? It's found on the shelves of Home Depot. We use it to caulk around tubs and toilets because it is waterproof, right? It's very hydrophobic. It repels moisture. And so any lens that's got a high concentration of silicone, while it may breathe well, is going to push the moisture away. And there's been different things that people have done with their lenses to try to mitigate that. And the great thing about these, what Alcon has done with these, this water surface technology is fantastic. With the Dailies Total One, for those of you that have been using it, you understand it really well. And those of you that don't, you really need to give it a shot. It's just a remarkable lens. It's like nothing else that's out there. But you have the silicone hydrogel core, and then the surface on top of it that is a very, very hydrophilic material. And with that layer of moisture, that's what the patient feels. So you get the benefit of that stable silicone hydrogel, high oxygen permeable core, but the comfort of just wearing water. Well, with the Dailies Total One, there was a lot of patients that it works really, really well for them. But what about every other patient that's out there that's also concerned about the economics of the lens? And so Alcon came out with the PRECISION1, and this has been in development for a long time, because you can't just rehash Dailies Total One. You can't cut corners on the Dailies Total One manufacturing process and come up with something that's going to work. They had to develop a completely different manufacturing process, a different polymer for the core of the lens, and the different molecule that is embedded permanently into the surface of the lens. That's that hydrophilic outer surface, or shell, if you will. And they've been able to do that. It's really quite cool. They take the silicone hydrogel core, they heat it up, and then they bathe it with these other molecules that then embed their fibers into the surface of that and become a permanent adhesion to there. And then they pull the moisture into itself. So instead of having that 6 micron ultimate layer of moisture like the Daily Soda 1, you have this 2 to 3 micron layer on the Precision 1. And the wearing experience is just exceptional. Patients absolutely love it.
And have you had patients who were wearing the sphere design? Have you moved them over and have they noticed a difference?
Oh yeah, so we do have that as well, where you have patients that were wearing a bulkier spherical lens to maybe mask astigmatism, people that had maybe 3/4 or a diopter of SIL, and you're masking it with another lens. You put this on their eye and they immediately note the clarity. That's the first thing that they mention is, wow, it's so much sharper. They may have seen the 20/20 line before, but they're seeing it in real definition now. And they're excited about that.
So if you had to sort of give anybody a piece of advice who maybe they haven't used the Precision 1 before, or those who have used the sphere and are now going to be using the Precision 1 for astigmatism, what kind of advice would you give people who are just getting started just based on all of your time with the lenses now?
It's an easy lens to fit. I mean, you can take your empirical refractive data, you can vertex it, and you can put it into a contact lens, stick it on the eye, and you're going to be right 99% of the time. It works and it's easy. I joked with one of my colleagues that I almost feel guilty charging so much extra for a toric fit because it's almost as easy as a spherical fit. And I would just give it a try. There's nothing to lose from trying it and everything to gain. One of the other benefits of bringing Precision 1 into my practice, and this is measurable, our annual supply sales have skyrocketed with this lens because patients are so enthusiastic about it and they're getting it from us.
Excellent. All right. Well, that is, I think, a good note to end on. So, Aaron, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.